Hey guys, this is Miss Arlequin, and in today's lesson we're going to evaluate a model essay for the elements of argumentative writing. Alright, so all essays, no matter what type, have three components that make up their structure. Every essay needs to have an introduction, every essay needs to have at least one body paragraph, and then a conclusion. And we've talked in the past about how an essay usually follows the shape of an hourglass. The introduction starts out really general. That's the widest part of your essay. It's where you are using an engaging lead to hook your reader in, get their attention. As the introduction develops, you slowly start to get more specific and introduce the specific topics of this particular essay, like introducing the author's name, the title of the text that you're going to be writing about, and the more specific topics that you already kind of generally introduced your reader to in the lead, until you get to the most specific part of your introduction, right here, the narrowest part, which is your thesis statement. You then have the body paragraphs, which is the narrowest part of the hourglass. That's because this is the part of the essay where you are writing your specific details and text evidence that can support your thesis. And then we get to the bottom part of the hourglass, the last paragraph of your essay, which is your conclusion. And that's where you start out by restating your thesis in some way, not saying the exact same thing, but just kind of coming back to the thesis, saying, in conclusion, I told you I was going to talk about this, and now I have. And then as your conclusion develops, you start to bring it back out to a more general discussion. You make it relevant to the reader. You let them know what they can now do with that information, the information that they read about in the essay, and you answer the so what question that's in your reader's head. Because they've read this essay and now they're wondering, okay, why did I read it? So what? So what the world wonders are deteriorating? So what some people want to preserve the Taj Mahal? Why is that important? Why does it matter? Alright, so we are starting our performance-based writing task for our Unit 3 of our Codex World Wonders unit. And our performance task, which we've looked at before, is to make an argument for the value of preserving one of the world wonders. And we need to support our claim with clear reasons and relevant evidence. So let's look at an actual model essay for this task. Preserve the Great Wall for Future Generations by Alicia Milos. Wonder is defined as a cause of astonishment or admiration. The Great Wall of China certainly fits this definition. It's considered one of the 7 wonders of the world. However, years of neglect and misuse have taken their toll. In order to preserve this monument for future generations, we must take action now. The Great Wall has a rich history that must be shared with future generations. Originally, it was built as a fortress to keep invaders out and protect the Chinese cities and towns. Construction began on the Great Wall as early as 600 BC. The 4,000-mile structure was not completed for almost 22 centuries. The work on this masterpiece was painstakingly done by hand. Construction was overseen by 2 dynasties. Today, the great structure is in danger. In the article, The Race to Save a World Treasure, the author writes, only about 1,500 miles of the wall remain. The rest has fallen apart and disappeared. The progress of the modern world, along with natural elements and neglect, may be slowly wearing away the wall. In one small village, people have taken bricks from the wall to build houses. A highway has plowed through another section. Additionally, desert sandstorms have worn down much of China's great wonder. Small steps have been taken to preserve this wonder. The article reports that in an effort to protect what remains of the structure, the World Monuments Fund placed the Great Wall on its list of 100 most endangered sites. But more work must begin immediately to fix the damage already done and stop further misuse. For centuries, the Great Wall has represented the beauty and history of China. How can we preserve it for future generations to enjoy? Alright, so let's reread the model essay and see if we can identify some of the basic parts of an argumentative essay. So we're going to start with the introductory paragraph. In this first paragraph, the author clearly states her claim. What is her claim for this essay? All right, well, in a well-developed essay, we would be able to identify the claim in the writer's thesis statement. And so this writer's claim is that the Great Wall of China should be preserved. And we can actually see the thesis statement right here, where it should be the last sentence of the introduction. In order to preserve this monument for future generations, we must take action now. All right, so now let's look at the body paragraphs. How does this writer organize her two body paragraphs to develop that thesis statement? All right, so basically these two paragraphs are organized in the following way. In the first body paragraph, the writer is explaining the history of the Great Wall of China. And then in the second, she's explaining how it is slowly deteriorating. All right, so now let's look for our evidence. The writer of an effective essay is going to support their claim with relevant evidence. And remember that using direct quotations from a text is always going to be the strongest evidence. If you're directly quoting a text, then there's really nothing that can be argued with. And so I've highlighted the quotations that come from the original text about the Great Wall of China. We see the first quote is only about 1,500 miles of the wall remain. The rest has fallen apart and disappeared. And then we see the second quote is that desert sandstorms have worn down much of China's great wonder. How does the writer of this essay show that the evidence comes from another source? All right, so like with any quotation, you always attribute the source by first including a citation of the page number from the original text where you can find the information. And then this writer has also attributed the actual title at the beginning of the paragraph when she mentions the title, The Race to Save a World Treasure. All right, now the conclusion summarizes and restates the author's thesis. And we know that a strong conclusion, especially of an argumentative essay, is going to persuade the reader to agree with the author's point of view. In this conclusion, what recommendation is the author making about the preservation of the Great Wall? All right, so we can see that in the conclusion, this writer tells us what's already been done to try to preserve the Great Wall of China. The WMF has placed it on the list of the 100 most endangered sites. But the writer has their own recommendation when she says more work must begin immediately to fix the damage. So she wants the damage to be repaired and to stop further misuse. So she doesn't specifically tell us how we should prevent further misuse, but she does make a recommendation that that does need to be done. All right, so now let's look a little bit closer at the craft and structure of the model essay. So we're going to go back to the body paragraphs. We know that the author's claim is that the Great Wall of China should be preserved. What's the first reason that supports this claim? All right, so once again, we know that the claim was the author's thesis statement. And then a well-structured essay is going to have a topic sentence in each body paragraph that gives reasons to support that claim. And so we can see the first reason right here in body paragraph 1, the topic sentence. The Great Wall of China has a rich history that must be shared with future generations. This is the first reason why we need to preserve this wonder. All right, so now that we know the first reason, that the Great Wall of China has a rich history, how does the writer then develop that reason and support it? Just saying it has a rich history is not enough. You now need to prove it. All right, so we know that the Great Wall of China has a rich history. Some of the ways that this author is actually proving that is by stating some of the actual history. that it was built as a fortress to keep invaders out, that the construction began as early as 600 BC, and that it took 22 centuries to complete. And then we need to share with future generations because it's a masterpiece. It was painstakingly done by hand. It's something that people should see because it wasn't easy for the Great Wall of China to be built. And then finally, the fact that it was overseen by 2 dynasties shows that it has a history to it. Alright, so now let's look at the next body paragraph. And just like with the first one, first body paragraph gave us one reason why we need to preserve the world wonder of the Great Wall of China. What is the second reason given in this body paragraph? Why do we need to preserve the Great Wall of China? Alright, so basically the second reason for why it should be preserved is because it's in danger. And because it's in danger and it has a great history that needs to be shared, we need to save it. When we look at the evidence in this paragraph, we see that there are some details from the original text, like the fact that only 1,500 miles of the wall remains, the fact that the world wonder is a victim of natural elements and neglect, and that it's slowly wearing away the wall. And then we also see that humans have affected the wall because people have taken bricks from the wall to build their houses. So it's slowly becoming smaller and smaller. We also see another impact from humans, the fact that a highway has plowed through. And then we get one final example of nature affecting the wall, where desert sandstorms have worn down much of the Great Wall. Alright, so how did the writer include and introduce evidence from the race to save China's Great Wall? That's the original text that this student is using to support their claims. First, let's think about what information about the source does the writer include for her readers. Alright, so we see that the student gives us the title of the article and the page number in the parenthetical citation. What are 2 ways that the writer includes evidence? Alright, we see that there are direct quotations, but there are also paraphrased details, like when she talks about the natural elements and neglect and the small village people who are taking bricks from the wall. That's not a quotation. However, that does come from the actual article. And then finally, how did she show words and phrases that were taken directly from the source material, the article, The Race to Save a World Treasure? Alright, she uses quotes, which we looked at earlier, and she uses citations, specifically parenthetical citations, like the one right here. Okay, so now that we've looked at the model essay together, take your copy of the model essay along with the analysis chart and make sure that you complete it for homework tonight and bring it to tomorrow's class, where we will be looking to begin our pre-writing brainstorming and organizing for our own essays on this performance-based task topic.